Okay, Jolynn, Riley, Peyton, guys, got your work up here. Thank you very much. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the work. Okay, we got it up right here. So one thing I want to mention first before I get started, I want to mention this is for a vehicle configurator kiosk, okay? And that is, let me see here. I'm not real sure whose sketches are whose here. Um, but right now, the first sketch is featuring a mobile app screen, and that's great as a component for the system. However, don't forget this design and this deep dive immersion is for a vehicle configurator kiosk, which is located presumably at a dealership or maybe be able to be moved to make car shows and things like that. So don't forget, it's for a kiosk. Now, that's not all is not lost because the mobile app is a great way to get started. So let me give you an example. So you could have the mobile app and you could get started at home. So let's say you get started, you pick your color, your tires, your other trim um, features, choices for transmission, et cetera, et cetera. You configure your whole automobile, right from the mobile app. Then you can send that information to the kiosk located, as I said, presumably at the dealership. And then you can go in to the dealership and configure the kiosk and load your configuration and then presumably see your vehicle, not on a screen, but remember, this is deep dive. So we really want to take this to the next level. So my recommendation for this is to work something in like a holographic projection or even um, um, a drive simulator. Okay, so theoretically, so the scenario is this: you're at home, you open up Audi's mobile app, and you start configuring the features you want and the model you want. Right, then you send that to the dealership, specifically to their configurator kiosk located in the dealership. You get to the dealership, you walk into the room, you plug in whatever identification number you have when the kiosk opens, right? And then your information loads up. And then depending on what other features you have, like let's say it's a holographic projection, so then you're able to see a 3D life-size model of your car. You're able to walk around it, look in it, and really get a feel for what it looks like. And further, you could even add a driving simulator so that you have not only a mobile app, but you have the vehicle configurator kiosk, which you can access from the dealership without the mobile app, or you can send the information from the mobile app to the kiosk. And then you could do things like plug in a drive simulator that will simulate the drive of your specific model. Maybe even, as I said last week, maybe even adding features like what it would drive like with older tires, or what it would drive like with extended miles, 80 or 90,000 miles, et cetera, et cetera. So the point I'm trying to make is that this isn't enough. A mobile app stream isn't enough. Don't forget, it's got to be a vehicle configurator kiosk. And again, presumably that would be something that would be located at the dealership with the ability to be able to travel to like car shows and auto shows and things like that. Other than that, I think it's a good idea. Let's move on to the next. The next is a straight up kiosk where you actually walk into the dealership, you start configuring your car. But again, is this enough right here? Is this enough? It seems like they have this already. Can we add some features here? And again, think about the holographic projection and the drive simulator. But we really need to add more here. Let's go up to the features of the, okay, scroll through options up and down, shows products immediately, menu on upper right corner. Okay, are these real features? Are these features, or are these just navigation and design elements? So these don't really seem to be features associated with the actual kiosk. I mean, a feature would be something like being able to send the information to the kiosk. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, now the kiosk itself, let's go ahead and take a look at the features. And language options, of course, absolutely, that's a great idea right there. Options to start the process immediately. I mean, wouldn't the process start immediately already? I mean, wouldn't you hit the start button and you start? So is that really an option? Or a feature, I should say. Narrow things down. First with planned questions. That's a great idea. And I think that's really smart. And that's really indicative of deep dive. That's indicative of human-centered design, because basically what you're doing is you're starting the process by identifying individual problems for an individual purchaser. And the questionnaire could be, I would say features like questions that expose features like driving habits, especially driving habits, and your physical stature, your height and weight. And only because that is pertinent information to the model that you would want to drive. Obviously, you're not going to drive a great big giant SUV if you're 5 foot and 90 pounds. It's not saying you can't or you won't. It's saying that that might not be the most suitable model for you. Conversely, a little subcompact Audi might not be the best feature for somebody who's 6'8" and 260 pounds, right? So that questionnaire is a great idea. Let's add some more features though. So what else can we do? It's a kiosk, sure, but what else can it do? Can it connect it to a drive simulator? Can you add a holographic projection technique? Can you add a booth with a projection screen where you can actually, try to think of a way to push this? And I think the same thing with the virtual reality screen. So the virtual reality screen to me is a little bit confusing because if it's a screen, it's not virtual reality, right? Virtual reality would be like things like goggles, where you put the goggles on and you have a projection of the goggles. So you sit in maybe a booth, okay, that's just a chair, 2 chairs, right? They sit down, they give you the goggles, and then you actually put the goggles on, start the program, and you see your vehicle through the goggles around the choices you've made. You can get up, walk around outside and see the vehicle. So that's virtual reality. A screen itself is not virtual reality, so keep that in mind. Let's look at the features. Language options, yes. Wait. Okay, looks like we duplicated our features here, guys. So we need separate and distinct features for the 3 choices. So these are duplicated right here. The features are duplicated. Let's see. These are different. So yeah, so we'll need to add new features to the virtual reality screen. But again, think about it. It's not, if it's a screen, it's not virtual reality. And if it's virtual reality, what is the method of delivery? So is it goggles? Is it holographic projection? Is it a booth that you walk into and it's a projection booth? I mean, really try to narrow it down here, guys. And my point right now is that just to really get as creative as possible, all right? Don't let current technology impede your creativity. In other words, maybe holographic projection isn't at a 100% usability right now, but don't let that step in your way of deciding to use a holographic projection, okay? So right now it's deep dive. We're not really, we're really flexing our creative muscles here. And I think in that regard, we're able to take the liberty of assuming that the technology that we're talking about here is applicable and ready to be used, okay? So things like VR headsets or goggles or holographic projections or even, fully featured drive simulators. I think things like that will really, really think of ways to eliminate the salesperson. I think that's the best way to look at it, so that the only real assistance we would need in the car buying process is financing and the actual drive test itself, which actually anymore, you don't even have to take a salesperson with it. They'll let you take a car alone. So, okay, so I know I threw a lot at you, but really think about that and think about how this all ties together and how deep dive immersion and how ethnographic studies and how empathy really comes into play here. So at this point, maybe talk to some more people about what their most negative experience with the auto purchasing process is, and just really try to spark some creativity in that regard. Okay, guys, great job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks very much, guys.